Hello, world, and welcome to my new channel here on YouTube, Interdisciplinary Studies. We will be covering things like today. We'll be discussing American history. We will be discussing current events on this channel, as well as natural medicine, plants. Psychology and human behavior, and whatever else comes up that we want to nerd out on together. At some point, we will be having a talk show type situation, a discussion panel. But for today, I am launching this channel with a something that's really important to me is the understanding of why this country exists. For what reason did we create this new world? Why is it so important to protect it, and why so many people seek to destroy it? It's important to understand that why. And in order to do that, we need to go back and listen to the voices of our forefathers and those that created this world. You know, this country has a constitution. The United States of America has a constitution, and it's the only one that I have seen that I'm aware of that was written to protect the sanctity of our very souls. And that is amazing to me. Free will. You can't have free will without freedom of speech and the right to defend yourself. And without So an attack on free speech is an attack on free will, and an attack on free will is an attack on your soul. This country is incredibly important, and so I would like to begin this channel, the launch of this channel, by discussing the Mayflower Compact. I've got this cool book. I got this book somewhere in Texas at a half-price bookstore. Houston or Austin, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I've got an image of it here, so you can go ahead and check it out. If you have kids and you are homeschooling your kids, or even not, or even if you're a kid and a child, this book is super cool because it's full of just writings. It's full of speeches and letters and writings of our forefathers all the way up until the day that they quit producing this book. It is edited by Diane Ravitch, and we will begin at the beginning here with the Mayflower Compact. Now, what is so important about the Mayflower Compact, and to understand something really important that we're being faced with right now in this country is a pushback against lawlessness. And in a very immature way, if we were all teenagers, we might think, oh, forget the rules, we don't need rules. But you cannot have a society without rules. And to be for the people, by the people, this was the most important thing to our forefathers. So important, in fact, to have a code of agreed upon laws to govern the people. It was so important that when they got here on the boat, they ended up at a place different than where they had expected and where they had written their covenant to be upheld. So they wouldn't get off the ship, until they rewrote it, because it was so important to them for their survival as a people. So as we see the repercussions of defunding the police and poisoning the minds of our youth to resist and reject the idea of rule of law, this is really timely right now. So let's get into it. I'm going to put what I'm reading there on the screen so you can read it along with me. Okay. So the Mayflower Compact. Ready? All right. I'm going to begin by reading a little bit of what Diane Ravitch wrote leading up to the actual Mayflower Compact, which in itself is pretty short, honestly. Okay. The settling of America began with an idea. The idea was that the citizens of a society could join freely and agree to govern themselves by making laws for the common good. I'm going to say that again. The idea was that the citizens of a society could join freely and agree to govern themselves by making laws for the common good. So, what happens when you have people coming into your society that are not adhering to the laws? You have a problem, and you no longer have a common good, and you no longer have a society. Do you understand that? Okay, so on November 11th, 1620, after 66 days at sea, the sailing ship Mayflower approached land. On board were 102 passengers. Their destination was the area at the mouth of the Hudson River, but because of rough seas, they missed their goal and anchored in what is now Provincetown Harbor off Cape Cod. Since it was late autumn, they decided to make their landing there rather than to sail on. And since they were no longer in the territory for which they had a patent, they signed a covenant before they landed in order to establish a basis for self government by which all of them were bound. About a third of the passengers were members of an English separatist congregation that had earlier fled from the Netherlands in search of religious freedom. The entire group of English colonists was later called the Pilgrims. The colonists had negotiated an agreement with the Virginia Company of London and gave them the right to locate wherever they chose in that company's vast holdings and to govern themselves. 41 of the male passengers signed the covenant aboard ship. In what was later known as the Mayflower Compact, the signers pledged to create a body politic that would be based on the consent of the governed and ruled by law. And they further agreed to submit to the laws framed by the new body politic. So, how do you have a society if you do not have agreed upon rules? Hmm? You can't. So, this is important. This is just the first building block of what created this country. But this is where we're beginning, and it's also very timely and important. In the name of Okay, so let's move on. We're going to read the Mayflower Compact. In the name of God, amen. We whose names are underwritten, the loyal subjects of our dread sovereign Lord King James, by the grace of God, of Great Britain, France, and Ireland King, defender of the faith. Having undertaken for the glory of God and advancements of the Christian faith and honor of our King and country, a voyage to plant the first colony in the northern parts of Virginia, do by these presents solemnly and mutually in the presence of God and one of another, covenant and combine ourselves together into a civil body politic for our better ordering and preservation and furtherance of the ends aforesaid, and by virtue hereof to enact, constitute, and frame such just and equal laws, ordinance, acts, constitutions, and offices from time to time, and shall be thought most meet and convenient for the general good of the colony, unto which we promise all due submission and obedience. In witness whereof we have hereunder subscribed our names at Cape Cod, the 11th of November, in the year of the reign of our sovereign Lord King James of England, France, and Ireland, the 18th, and of Scotland, the 54th. Now, of course, this is the Mayflower Compact. This is not, this is before the American Revolution. But this is where it all began, and it's really important. So if you like that, stay tuned because pretty soon we're going to be nerding out on George Washington's farewell address, which is pretty interesting. Did you know that George Washington had his own golden rule? And that golden rule was to be uninvolved with all foreign nations outside of trade and commerce. Only do business, do not meddle, don't get in there, don't try to uh, meddle, get yourself involved in foreign affairs of any kind. That was George Washington's golden rule, and he pleaded with us in his farewell address to uphold that or else. And look at where we are now. Um, I think that it will be a beautiful day should we ever fully unentangle ourselves in the name of George Washington. Now, if you enjoyed this little nerd out session, leave some information in the comments if you have something you want to share, or if you have any questions. I don't know how, I mean, I'm not going to answer your questions about the Mayflower Compact. I am not a historian. I am just really interested in the things that make me tick, and I love this country. And it's not because I was told to as a child. It's because I understand what this country is. I've been wanting to start this channel for a while. In honor of Charlie Kirk, I I decided that this was the week I was going to start. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'll get a little bit more professional with the channel as time goes on, but yeah, Mayflower Compact. Go find this book. It's pretty neat. All right. I hope that you enjoyed it. Bye.